Okay, so now this pork has been in for well over 2 hours. You can see it there, it's just nice and soft and tender. We're not going to get a chance to sit here today and carve that up and eat it, but all we do from here is turn the heat down, turn it off, let it cool down, and then we take the pork out and we slice it and we spoon the sauce over. Now if you want to get rid of the fat in the sauce, if you actually don't like the fat, there's enough fat in the meat. But invest in one of these little devices, which is a fat separator. All you do is you pour the liquid from that into here and you will see the fat. It will sit at the top, and as you pour it, it will stay there and all the liquid will come out and you just pour it down to the clear fats left. So that's one of the ways of taking the fat out of this, because some people, I mean I'm one of those people, I don't like too much fat in the sauce because it sticks to my mouth, but I like the fat in the meat. So now, remember that piece of belly pork where we had there's the tray. That's when it was cooked in. You can see there's very little fat left in that at all. We turn the heat on. Somehow. Or not. There you go. Now, we're just going to heat this up gently and use a little ingredient here called a stock cube. So, a chicken stock cube. And this is just to add the flavour. I mean, you know, I'm sorry it's not traditional, it's not brilliant, it's not something that we can say is homemade stock, but at the end of the day that's a far better proposition than just liquid. So that will give a little bit of flavour, it will put some saltiness in it, so we don't really need to worry about the salt, but we need to just heat it. And you can see there's fat back in here, so again, there's not too much fat here. The idea now is we want to loosen all of those burnt bits, or let's say those bits that are stuck to the tray. We want to loosen these. And then we're going to strain them through into the saucepan and create a sauce. And with my trusty little cup here and some water. Again, I just use hot tap water because it's going to come to the boil anyway. Now actually what you could do at this stage, to give it a little bit more flavour, is this. Have some white wine here. And what we'll do with the wine is we'll pour the wine in when it's nice and hot. We'll let the alcohol burn off and we'll just be left with the wine flavour, but no alcohol. So don't worry about it if you're worried about drinking alcohol, because it won't exist. It will burn off. And we'll keep that pork nice and warm. It needs to cool down. If we carve that pork now, it will break up. So you've got to leave it a good hour or so, take it out and carve it nice and gently. So, the idea now is to remove all of this sticky stuff around the pan, which is in chef terms it's called deglazing, with some liquid. Let's get that nice and hot. And this is our sauce. And you can see those onions and garlic, they're all mashed. All that flavour is intense, it's right in that pan. You've got to put it out. And the stock cube's added to that. So now here we go. Perhaps not quite as hot as I wanted it, but it doesn't matter, the end result will be the same. I'm now just going to scrape, use that liquid to scrape. Actually what we can do is put it up to this heat. Get some higher heat going on here. Now you can see the colour's enriched, because all of that burnt garlic, onion. I say burnt, it's not really burnt. I mean, burnt is black and bitter. This isn't. This is just naturally cooked. And the idea now is to use the wine to loosen this, let's call it this, what can we call it, this sticky stuff here from the pan. You want to burn the alcohol off. The best way to do that is to smell it. And if you can smell the wine, then there's still the alcohol in there. And you'll notice it, because if you serve this sauce now, it would taste like vomit, to be honest with you. It would be absolutely awful, because you've got all of the alcohol still in there. As you cook it, the smell of the wine will disappear. And as the smell of the wine, or the alcohol I should say. And you can see now, look at the colour of the sauce. Totally different. And this really now is a stage of being patient, smelling it. Now it's almost all evaporated. And at that point of the evaporation, we have the water. Or if you've got some homemade chicken stock or some bought chicken stock, you can omit the stock cube phase and just put the chicken stock in there. But for me, most of the bought chicken stocks are flavourless. There's no taste to them. Whereas at least you may not approve, or chefs may not approve of the stock cube, but it gives you a quick, intense flavour. Then, if you haven't got all day to make a chicken stock, then it's an easier way. Okay, so all the wine smell is gone. In with the water. Come to the boil, simmer, and we reduce a little more, and there's your sauce. Okay, so stock's come to the boil. Little taste. Tastes pretty good actually, but I have to say that. And all it is now is reducing it to the consistency that you want. You could actually serve it like that, to be honest with you. You can see that if you look around the edges, you'll see a film of fat here. And that's acceptable for this amount of stock. Then that's not a huge amount. You may or may not like too much fat. That's up to you. We can use a separator. In fact, if I use a separator on this, it would be pointless because there's not that much fat in it. But now it's a matter of reducing this to a consistency which for me is probably we'll reduce it by about a quarter. Then we'll strain it and serve it. Into the stock. And what I'll do now is put this on. And I will strain. Now, I know some people, friends of mine, who love to eat all the onions, the bits of pork that stuck to the pan. I mean, you can. A good sign of how you've made a good stock is the pan is clean. Bar the edges here, but I could have scraped those off if I really wanted to. But the pan is fairly clean. Now we need to just make sure that this liquid comes through. And you're getting bits of mashed garlic go through there. Thyme. And as I said, we'll reduce this liquid by about a quarter. So there's not a lot in there, but I'm serving 4 people today, including myself. And they've already had their main course of Parmesan chicken with potatoes, so this is a taste for them. So we'll just spoon that over the top and we'll be done with it. Okay, so now to the pork. It's cooled down quite a lot. Usually I'd have a piece a lot bigger, but I'm cooking different things today to just demonstrate. So what we'll do from here is just cut down the middle. And you can see that skin, how crisp it is. Now to me that's a serving, that's one portion, believe it or not. But we've got a few people here today, so we'll chop that in half. And we'll chop that in half again. And you can see, look, the meat's extremely moist. So we'll go again. And I'm just going to cook this today. This is just to show you really how simple this dish is to cook and serve. And we'll spoon over the sauce. I'll take a serving plate here. I'll just put the pieces. Now, there's another thing you can do with this right now, okay? Let's say, for example, you've got some guests over for drinks, or you want to serve an appetizer. I mean, be careful as an appetizer because it's extremely filling. But if you're having like an informal drinks evening, then All you've got to do with this from here is just sprinkle a little soy sauce over the top. Light soy sauce. Now I know you put salt on the skin, but that's just on the skin. So if you just sprinkle some soy sauce over the top of that, you just pick that up and eat it. What we're doing is moving back now to our sauce, which you can see in the pan is bubbling away furiously. And that's the reducing part. We're going to reduce that down to a consistency where it's fairly sticky. And then spoon it over that and then we're done. Okay. So we're at the final stages of the sauce now. You can see it's almost foamy. And there's no thickeners in this, there's no potato starch, no cornstarch, no flour, which you can use all three if you want. You can use one of the three or whatever you want. But this is just the pure juice with the stock cube. And if you just watch, just bring the camera in here, you're going to see it now get to its final stage. And you'll feel like the thing's going to bubble away and evaporate. But this is just a fine art, you just have to perfect this. And don't worry about the burnt bits on the side, because you're not going to touch that. And that is about there. So, potato, over to our pork. I'm just gonna pour this over. Now we're doing this today for just for demonstration purposes, but if you want to serve that as a meal, then you know, a couple of pieces of pork, some green vegetables, some sides that we're going to cook later, maybe some leeks and some cheese, braised cabbage, which I haven't cooked today but I will do, and a couple of potatoes, a couple of tiny of those roast olive oil potatoes. But there you go, that's it, that's the pork. And before we finish, I just want to bring you back over to this one, because we haven't really got the time to show you the finished article, but that's the pork fully braised, and if I just put a knife into it, you'll see how soft it is. It's literally breaking up, and that's where you want it to be. And you can see, look, that is so soft. In fact, I may just, it's too hot to work with at the moment, so I need to let it cool a bit. But we just spoon over that liquid, and that's it. We serve it that way. And you can serve that with basically steamed white rice, green vegetables, and use the liquid to put over the rice.